Hey, good morning, everybody. So listen, I'm still going to be in Exodus chapter 3 this morning. I want to bring you a little bit more. We talked about Moses yesterday and about how there he was out there, been out in the desert for 40 years, just tending sheep and disappointed, discouraged. Life hadn't been what he probably hadn't turned out like he thought it would. And yet God spoke to him, God came to him, God chose him and decided to use him. And so now we're picking up on where God begins to really tell Moses what I'm going to do. First of all, in verse 9, Exodus 3, God says, I have heard, he says, behold, the cry of the children of Israel has come to me, and I have also seen the oppression with which the Egyptians oppress them. So come now, therefore, I will send you to Pharaoh's, so that you may bring my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. So God first tells Moses, he says, look, I've heard the cry of my children, Israel. I've heard the cry of my people. I've seen their oppression. Back in chapter 2, starting in about verse 23 through 25, it just says, in the process of time, the king of Egypt died. The children of Israel groaned because of the bondage. They cried out. It says that God heard their groaning. God remembered his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and he looked upon the children of Israel, and he acknowledged them, that God was moved. Let me tell you something. You are nowhere in this world that God cannot see where you are, that God does see where you are. If you're one of his children, God sees, God knows, and God acknowledges you. He one of the prayers that I pray is that God would make his face to shine upon you, and that he would turn his face towards you from Deuteronomy. And it's the idea that God would acknowledge you, that he would put his blessing upon you. And so he turned and he recognized these people. And so he recognized what they were going through. And he he remembered the promise that he had made. And so it was time for their deliverance. And so I would just say to you to hold on, because your deliverance will come one way or another, somehow, maybe at the coming of Christ, but your deliverance is going to come when God decides to do it. Spent a little too much time on that than I expected to. So he said, I'm going to send you to bring my people out of Egypt. And he said, I will be with you, and this will be a sign that I have sent you when you have brought the people out of Egypt. You shall serve God in this mountain. So, I missed a part. Moses, verse 11, Moses says, who am I that I would go to Pharaoh? Who am I that I should bring the children of Israel out of Egypt? And God said, well, I'm going to be with you, and this will be a sign that I've sent you. When you've brought the people out of Egypt, you'll serve God in this mountain. So Moses is like, who am I? Who am I? And God says, look, I'm going to be with you. You know what? Who am I? When God gives you a task and you're like, who am I? Who am I? It doesn't matter who you are. What matters is who God is. What matters is the capabilities of God. It doesn't matter the gifts, talents, strengths that I have. What matters is the strengths and the purposes of God. And as long as I surrender and allow God to work in my life, God can do what I want. So who am I? It doesn't matter. I think it's interesting to note that God said, this is going to be a sign. Once you've done this, you're going to worship me right here on this mountain. Right here on this mountain is where you're going to worship me. But the fact was that he didn't get the sign until he finished the task. We want the sign before the task. The reward and the sign that we were in God's will is when it's over and we can see that God accomplished his purposes. You don't get to see the sign until you take the step of faith. If you want to walk on water, you got to get out of the boat, as one person said, right? If you want to walk on water, you have to get out of the boat. If you want to see the sign, if you want to see the miraculous working in the hand of God, you have to live by faith, you have to walk by faith, and you have to go by faith. You have to trust God so that he can give you the victory. And so then Moses said, what if they say to me, what's his name? What am I going to say to him? And it's the famous passage where God said to Moses, I am who I am. And that's who you're going to say to the children of Israel. I am has sent me. A lot of discussion, a lot of preaching, a lot of teaching about the real meaning of that name and how it's translated and whatever. I'm not against all of that. I'm not opposed to all that. Let me just say this though. When I read it this time, it's like God was just saying, you know what? My name is enough. My name is enough. They want to know who sent you. You just tell them Yahweh. You just tell them I am. I sent you because my name is enough. Don't we sing that song? His name is power. His name is all this stuff. My name is enough, and I have sent you. I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I am the God of all the promises. I am the God who is faithful and true. I am the God that you can trust. I am. My name is enough. Hey, God bless you, man. If you're in oppression, just hold on. If you belong to God, He sees you, He knows, and your deliverance will arise at the right time. If you have a task ahead of you and you're struggling with who are you to be the one to do that task, doesn't matter who you are. What matters is who God is. You got to get out of the boat so that you can walk on water. And then by what authority? Yahweh God. His name is enough. God bless you guys. Love you. Bye.